Why did Jungkook wait until now? Why has he stayed silent all these years about what really happened between him and Taehyung in Tokyo? Fans have been asking these questions for nearly a decade, and now they may finally have answers. In a quiet yet seismic moment during a solo interview, Jungkook shared an emotional recollection of the time he and Taehyung spent in Tokyo, a moment he claims changed the course of their relationship and his personal growth forever. The world first suspected something deeper between Jungkook and Taehyung when grainy paparazzi photos emerged in late 2023. The two global icons, often surrounded by crowds and chaos, were captured walking anonymously through the backstreets of Tokyo, dressed in plain clothes, faces lit with quiet joy. Armies were left guessing, was it simply a friendly getaway or something more? Jungkook's recent interview ignited those questions again, but this time, the answers came directly from him. And they were more intimate, more heartfelt than anyone expected. It wasn't supposed to be a special trip, Jungkook admitted, eyes lowered as if the weight of memory pulled him back to that night. We both had events in Tokyo, and we just thought, why not meet up? But when I saw him sitting there, waiting for me, something clicked. The internet exploded within minutes of the interview release. Hashtags like hashtag Taehyung Tokyo Truth and hashtag Jungkook Speaks trended worldwide. But what was it exactly that happened in Tokyo? And why did it take so long for Jungkook to open up? Stay with us as we dive into a story that goes beyond fame, beyond music, and into the deeply human bond between two of the world's most beloved artists. Tokyo at night has always held a strange kind of magic. Neon signs buzz above the streets like fireflies trapped in glass, while the echo of footsteps on quiet alleyways whispers stories few ever hear. For Jungkook and Taehyung, that city wasn't just a backdrop, it was a cocoon. A place where the eyes of the world couldn't follow, and where their guard could finally fall. We wandered for hours, Jungkook revealed. No bodyguards. No staff. Just us. I remember us laughing over street food, watching people walk by, and talking about everything. Our dreams, our fears, even the things we never dared tell anyone. What could two of the world's most famous idols possibly be afraid of? That question lingers in the air, and Jungkook's answer was simple, but devastating. I was afraid of losing myself, he said. There's a version of me that only exists when I'm with Taehyung. I didn't realize how much I needed that version until that night in Tokyo. Taehyung, too, hinted at that night in his own quiet way. In a now iconic video log titled Nightlights, he filmed Tokyo's skyline from a hotel balcony. He never showed his face, but his voice, soft, reflective, narrated over the flickering lights. Sometimes, the things we can't say out loud still find their way into the silence between two people, he whispered. The fandom quickly connected the dots. The skyline matched the district where Jungkook had been seen days earlier. And the timestamp? Just after midnight, the same time Jungkook had mentioned they shared a long walk to the Sumida River. Jungkook described it vividly. The quiet riverbank, the chill in the air, and the moment he knew he would never see Taehyung the same way again. He was talking about the stars, Jungkook said, and I was just watching him. That's when I realized there was something in his eyes I hadn't seen before. Or maybe I just hadn't been brave enough to notice it. Was it love? Was it friendship deepened to something sacred? Neither of them has used those words. But perhaps they don't have to. As Tokyo slept, the two of them found a language that didn't require labels. And for the first time in a long time, Jungkook felt seen. Not as BTS's golden magne, not as a global superstar, but as himself. But peace is a fragile thing when you live under a microscope. And what happened the next day would threaten to unravel everything they found under the Tokyo moonlight. Morning had just begun to stretch across Tokyo's skyline when Jungkook's phone lit up. A name appeared, familiar, commanding, and completely unexpected. It was their manager. I remember staring at it, not wanting to answer. Jungkook said, his voice cracking. It was like reality was clawing its way back in. Until that moment, The world outside had been suspended. But one phone call shattered the delicate stillness. News had already begun leaking. A staff member had unknowingly posted a blurry behind-the-scenes photo showing Taehyung's silhouette, unmistakably in Jungkook's hotel room. It wasn't explicit, but it was enough. The media storm was instant. Speculations raged. Was BTS reuniting secretly? Were Taehyung and Jungkook planning a duo project? Or was it something else entirely back in Tokyo? Taehyung was still asleep when Jungkook got the call. He looked so peaceful, Jungkook remembered. And all I could think was, how do I protect this? That day turned into chaos. Calls flooded in from HYB's PR team, managers, even stylists. Every second counted. Every move had to be calculated. They weren't angry, Jungkook said. But they were scared. Scared of the implications. Scared of the interpretations. Scared of what the world might assume. Taehyung woke to the sound of whispered voices and saw the expression on Jungkook's face. He didn't ask questions, Jungkook said. He just hugged me. And that hug, God, it said more than words ever could. Within hours, the two idols were ushered separately to different parts of Tokyo. Their team issued statements about their individual schedules. The moment was over. The curtain was drawn. But the damage, emotional, spiritual, was done. Jungkook paused during the interview, his eyes glistening. It felt like losing something you never got to fully hold. Like we had reached for something beautiful, and it slipped away. The world only saw the curated silence. But behind it was a bond tested by pressure, secrecy, and sacrifice. For the first time, fans are now beginning to understand what that cost truly was. While the Tokyo trip faded into whispers and speculation, Jungkook and Taehyung returned to their professional lives as though nothing had changed. But attentive fans noticed something unusual, something different in the music. The first hint came in Taehyung's solo track, Blue Shadow, released just weeks after the Tokyo visit. The lyrics, haunting and minimalistic, struck a chord. I saw your light on the water's edge but morning stole you from me again. Fans flooded social media with theories. Was this about Jungkook? Was Taehyung using his art to speak what he couldn't say aloud? Even music critics noted the emotional shift. Jungkook's next solo release didn't help quiet the rumors. His track, Anchor, spoke of holding on to something slipping beneath the waves. The chorus repeated a single word, stay. In interviews, both artists danced around questions, speaking in vague metaphors and poetic ambiguity. But a pattern emerged. Their lyrics began to mirror one another, as if carrying on a conversation across tracks, across genres, across pain. Music has always been our safe space, Jungkook said in his latest interview. Sometimes it's the only way to be honest. Some armies went even further, dissecting videos, performance choreography, and set designs. In one joint award performance, the stage featured a long river dividing the performers. Taehyung stood on one side, Jungkook on the other. At the climax of the song, they reached toward each other, but never touched. Coincidence? Symbolism? Or confession? When asked directly about the speculation, Taehyung only smiled. The truth is in the silence, he said. Sometimes the loudest messages are the ones unspoken. But the silence was growing louder. And both of them seemed to know Diane private. Jungkook admitted that they hadn't been able to fully talk since Tokyo. Schedules, scrutiny, and pressure built walls between them. I wrote songs I was afraid to send, he said. I think he did too. We were speaking, but not directly. We were scared. What were they scared of? Was it the world's judgment? The consequences? Or the heartbreaking possibility that timing had made even the truest connection feel like a risk? The music became their journal, their mirror, their secret. And while the world sang along, few realized they were listening to the echoes of something deeply real. To this day, neither has confirmed the meaning behind those tracks. But fans hear it. They feel it. Because some truths don't need to be declared to be undeniable. There was a letter. Or at least, that's what Jungkook hinted at in a behind-the-scenes documentary filmed months after Tokyo. He never showed it on camera. He never read its contents. But when the interviewer asked if he had ever tried to explain his feelings to Taehyung, Jungkook looked away, then smiled bitterly.
I wrote something.
A letter. But I never sent it. The documentarian leaned in, asking why. Jungkook hesitated. Because it felt selfish, he said. I didn't want to make it harder for him. Or for me. What was in that letter? Fans can only imagine. But those 7 words, I wrote something. A letter. But I never sent it, set off a frenzy of interpretation. TikTok exploded with dramatizations. Twitter threads analyzed every line of Jungkook's songs for clues. Reddit forums debated the emotional implications. Taehyung, on his end, remained silent. But not entirely. A few weeks later, he posted a single black and white photo on his Instagram story, a folded piece of paper placed beside a candle, with the caption, "Not all flames need oxygen." Cryptic? Undoubtedly. Connected? Fans believe so. Back in the interview, Jungkook shared more. Sometimes, when you care about someone deeply, the kindest thing you can do is disappear. That's what I thought at the time. But did he regret it? He didn't say yes. He didn't say no. Instead, he recited a lyric from his song Anchor: If I could rewind the tide, I'd speak instead of drift. Was the letter a confession of love? A goodbye? An apology? Whatever it contained, it remained unsent. A ghost of what might have been. A symbol of the restraint, the heartbreak, and the impossible weight of being Jungkook and Taehyung. 2 souls tethered by more than friendship, restrained by more than fear. What happens to the words we never say? Do they fade away? Or do they live on in the spaces between 2 people who once walked under Tokyo's lights and saw the world in each other's eyes? They were in the same building. That much was confirmed. But for nearly an hour, Jungkook and Taehyung managed to avoid each other entirely during BTS's brief reunion at the 2025 Seoul Music Awards. Fans noticed the tension, the eye contact that didn't happen, the way their smiles seemed rehearsed, warm, but distant, and yet, just when it seemed like the Tokyo chapter would remain forever unfinished, something changed. It wasn't planned, Jungkook said, glancing off camera as if reliving the moment. I thought he'd already left. But Taehyung hadn't left. Instead, he lingered in one of the green rooms, quietly flipping through a book of lyrics. Jungkook walked in by accident or fate. The room was silent when I entered, he said. But it felt louder than any stadium we've ever performed in. They hadn't spoken, really spoken, in almost a year. Not since that night on the riverbank. And for few heartbeats, neither said a word. Then Taehyung broke the silence. He looked at me, Jungkook recalled, and just said, "Do you still remember the stars?" That one question shattered every wall, every layer of polite distance they had built between them. Jungkook nodded, and without another word, they embraced, something raw, quiet, desperate. A staff member accidentally opened the door and caught a glimpse of them. That moment, 2 global superstars, locked in a wordless, emotional embrace, was nearly leaked to the press. But miraculously, it wasn't. That day, they were just 2 young men trying to reconnect with a version of themselves that had been left behind. Later that night, Jungkook posted a photo on Instagram. It was a shot of the Tokyo skyline, no caption, no tags. But those who knew, knew. Taehyung responded the next morning with a single word in a Weverse comment. Still. That one word sent the internet into a frenzy. But to Jungkook, it was more than a reply. It was a promise. That moment in Tokyo never ended, he said. We just paused it. And that's when everything began to shift. Rumors of a Taehyung subunit reignited. Whispers of a joint single, a secret track, even a surprise appearance at BTS Festa spread like wildfire. But beyond the headlines, something more important was happening. Healing. The world may have moved on, but they hadn't. And now they were finally catching up, Because sometimes it takes losing something to understand its weight. And sometimes you have to find your way back, not to a place, but to a person.